We've got to remember that we only have a finite collection of commodities at our disposal, and those commodities can be allocated into endeavors that we prioritize through our own definitive choices in order to eventually fulfill our own respective goals and objectives. However, despite the straightforwardness of this narrative, it's actually a lot more taxing and frustrating to deal with in reality. As human beings, we like to occupy ourselves with a lot of things, most of them verging towards pleasurable ideals, and oftentimes those endeavors will clash in contradiction with our duties and responsibilities, which in contrast verge towards unpleasurable sensations. And this particular conflict will often escalate into a critical situation whereby it becomes impossible to maintain both physical and mental balance between the two, and inevitably compels us to make the difficult decision in having to choose one over the other. Now, this time in particular, I'm not going to say or claim to you gentlemen what is right for you and what is wrong for you, because all of you recognize them respectively in accordance to the state of your circumstances in life, and also your own independent objectives. Just make sure that whatever decision you've made, be prepared to both reap the rewards and pay the consequences. Because sacrifice is, after all, the battle of opportunity costs. What are you willing to give up to have the other? Necessity or gratification? Now again, usually this mental or moral conflict of sacrifice vividly occurs when both sides of the big coin or highly meaningful endeavors demand a significantly huge amount of your attention and effort in order to come out of one of the other sides in one piece. Relationships versus ambitions, for example. In the impulsively present moment, it is rather difficult to directly choose one over the other, as the pressure to satiate both sides will mount up and overwhelm you with waves and waves of convoluted dilemmas. You won't be able to think straight and recollect your priorities to determine which one matters more than the other, which is why you have to be physically on your own to eventually be able to structure things down and bring your objectives into clarity. Again, I won't claim or state to you gentlemen what you should choose or what is best for you, because my circumstances and your circumstances could be different, and so is my objectives and your objectives. What you must do here is to think way further ahead into your life. In 5 to 10 years' time, how would you like your life to turn out? Which one do you prefer to accomplish first, business or family? How would you feel if you didn't succeed in one over the other? These are the type of questions you need to ask yourself, and you need to answer as brutally honest as possible, in which I am unable to answer them for you. If you still can't figure it out, try to notice this about yourself when you're in action within each side of the coin. When you're doing one endeavor, do you spend more time and energy contemplating doing the other instead? For example, when you're hanging out with your woman, do you spend time and energy contemplating that you should be working on your ambitions instead? And similarly, in reverse, when you're working on your ambitions, do you spend time and energy contemplating that you should be hanging out with your woman instead? Try to answer both questions as comprehensively and collectively as possible, and whichever side that you contemplate more of and often, that is the side that you are prioritizing more. Making sacrifice is not as easy as choosing one pair of shoes over the other. No, because the price is way bigger and way more impactful to one's well-being. Regardless of whatever choice or which side you ultimately choose, you will inevitably bleed, or at the very least experience some form of guilt and regret. Because you have already invested a lot of your commodities into both sides, and now comes the time to choose one over the other in order to excel that much further to get closer to your objectives. However, in making sacrifice, you must vividly make sure that the guilt and regret of choosing one side will be significantly less potent than the guilt and regret that you will face for choosing the other side. Either way, you will experience some form of hurt, but more importantly, you'll be much more focused in pursuing your priorities, now that you know what matters more. So take your most precious time and choose very, very wisely. Thank you for watching.